In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, Vietnamese Prime Minister engages in talks with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince and Prime Minister. Later on, processing and manufacturing activities drive industrial growth. And in our world news, EU imposes higher tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is currently 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Dylan Lei with the latest updates. Now, on Wednesday morning, the National Assembly discussed draft amendments to several laws, including those on planning, investment, public-private partnerships, and bidding. Let's take a look.
The draft law has been revised to address challenges faced by businesses and localities. Although they agreed with the draft, deputies suggested adding further cases for consideration while discussing regulations regarding the use of state capital.
I propose considering the inclusion of cases for projects that are already operational, where state capital is needed to ensure the financial plan's effectiveness. This is particularly important for public-private partnership (PPP) projects.
Deputies also proposed removing the provision stating that projects that require land can only commence operations after the build transfer (BT) contract has been completed and handed over to the competent authority for exploitation, adding that a more robust oversight mechanism should be implemented instead.
Instead, applying strict and effective management measures to monitor the progress of build transfer projects. Rather than linking the exploitation rights of counterpart projects to build transfer progress, the government could establish commitments and evaluation mechanisms to ensure the timely implementation of such projects.
Regarding the provision for adjusting planning through a streamlined procedure, deputies acknowledged its necessity. However, they urged the drafting committee to review it against similar regulations in other laws. This review would ensure consistency and feasibility during implementation.
On Tuesday night Vietnam time, Prime Minister Phie met with Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, during the 8th Future Investment Initiative Conference. The Crown Prince welcomed Vietnam's participation, highlighting its potential to create significant opportunities for investors and contribute to the conference success. Prime Minister Phie conveyed greetings and invitations from General Secretary Tô Lâm, State President Lương Cường, and National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn to King Salman bin Abdulaziz. He also invited Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman to make an official visit to Vietnam. In a friendly and open atmosphere, both leaders agreed to enhance bilateral economic cooperation, aiming to increase bilateral trade to over $10 billion by 2030. They identified innovation, green transformation, and digital transformation as key pillars of collaboration. Prime Minister Phie encouraged Saudi Arabia to invest in strategic projects in Vietnam, particularly in the oil sector and the halal industry. The Crown Prince supported these proposals and urged both sides to work towards concrete plans for cooperation. Vietnam and the United Arab Emirates have officially signed the Vietnam-UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA, marking Vietnam's first free trade agreement with a Middle Eastern nation. Under this agreement, Vietnam commits to eliminating tariffs on 98.5% of the UAE's exports to Vietnam, while the UAE will remove tariffs on 99% of Vietnam's exports to its market. This opens up significant opportunities for a range of Vietnamese products, including key exports such as cashew nuts, pepper, honey, seafood, textiles, footwear, electronics, and wood products. With a population of 10 million, the UAE serves as a crucial trade gateway to the Middle East, providing access for Vietnamese products to enter other major markets in the region. This partnership is expected to enhance trade relations and expand Vietnam's economic presence in the Middle East, paving the way for increased investment and collaboration. Vietnam is the only country among the world's 4 largest textile and garment exporters that has seen an increase in market share, positioning itself to achieve this year's export target of $44 billion. This is the Ministry of Industry and Trade's assessment of the past 9 months' textile and garments exports. Specifically, U.S. market share rose from 17.6% to 18.3%, solidifying Vietnam's position as a leading supplier. Despite a 5.5% decline in textile imports to Europe, Vietnam has managed to maintain a market share of about 4.4% in this region. The industry's outlook remains positive for the remainder of this year and early next year, driven by its cyclical nature and strong orders. Over the past 9 months, Vietnam's textile and garment exports have grown by 8.9% year-on-year, indicating an accelerating growth rate compared to earlier months. Key export markets such as the US, Japan, South Korea, and China have maintained growth, while ASEAN, Russia, and Canada have also emerged as bright spots. The industrial sector recorded more positive business performance in the third quarter of 2024 compared to the previous quarter, with notable improvements in processing and manufacturing. Let's have a look.
As the third quarter draws to a close, one company has already fulfilled its annual order, delivering 50,000 automotive fans to its U.S. partner. The business is now focusing on research for new products and preparing production plans for next year, with the ambitious goal of increasing output tenfold.
We proactively research the core technologies of motors, controls, and material design. This enables us to meet more complex demands and higher volumes from our customers.
Statistics from the first 3 quarters of this year show that the growth rate in the industrial sector continues to see an upward trend.
Now the private investment is recovering. Now that's partly based on the fact that exports have recovered, so therefore producers who are involved in exports are now starting to invest again. We also see a recovery of the real estate market.
In the third quarter, key industrial production regions in the north faced setbacks due to Typhoon Yagi. However, Bắc Giang, Thanh Nguyen, Bắc Ninh, and Quang Ninh still reported robust industrial growth.
This success is largely due to effective government support, particularly in promoting public investment disbursement and implementing key industrial projects.
Global trade activities are recovering, and demand from major markets is expected to rise towards the end of the year. Additionally, monetary policy and eased exchange rate pressures are contributing to reduced costs, thus enhancing growth prospects for both the industry and the economy as a whole.
The State Bank of Vietnam, or SBV, reports a significant reduction in fraud cases following the implementation of biometric technology for personal banking accounts. In August 2024, customer scams decreased by about 50% compared to the average of the first 7 months of the year. To date, over 37 million customers have registered their biometric information, marking a positive step towards minimizing risks and enhancing user protection against fraud. However, concerns remain about the circumvention of regulations, particularly in opening business accounts. In response, the banking industry plans to strengthen measures for verifying legal representatives of businesses. This effort aims to bolster the integrity of the banking system and further protect consumers from fraudulent activities. Police forces are intensifying their investigations into online groups involved in the illegal trade of personal data for fraudulent activities. Several large-scale data trafficking networks in Vietnam have been exposed and dismantled. Authorities have discovered nearly 1,300 gigabytes of illegally obtained personal data, including sensitive internal information.
Packages of personal data are being shared and advertised for sale on various online groups. Investigators, following clues left in fraud cases, have traced these accounts back to networks engaged in personal data trading.
This is a resource trade, where the resource is personal data that individuals exploit for illegal online business activities.
Personal data trafficking is rampant and conducted publicly on the internet. This breach has severe consequences for the victims.
We urge relevant authorities to enhance vigilance in protecting citizens' personal data and to enforce strict penalties to deter such activities.
In 2023, the Ministry of Public Security identified and investigated 16 cases involving leaks, loss, and sale of sensitive state information and internal data online. Investigators discovered a substantial amount of exposed data being openly sold by hackers on various social media platforms.
We are verifying and addressing groups operating in the trade of personal data on closed platforms like Telegram, Viber, and Zalo. We will deploy investigators to act if sufficient evidence is gathered.
Along with enhancing operational activities and intensifying investigation work, the Ministry of Public Security emphasizes the need for robust regulatory measures to resolve the pervasive issue of personal data trafficking.
Before we move on to the next part of the bulletin, let's have a look at the exchange rate between the Vietnam dong and some world currencies in today's trading session. Coming up next on VTV News. Communities overcome floods through mutual support. And trash to art transforms waste to promote a sustainable and green Côn Đảo archipelago. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now on to other important updates. As of Wednesday, flooding on the Kiến Giang River in Lệ Thủy, Quảng Bình Province continues to decline slowly, though water levels remain high. Forecasts predict that by Wednesday afternoon, the flood level will drop about 1 meter compared to Tuesday, but will still be roughly 30 centimeters above alert level 3. As a result, floodwaters in low-lying areas and along riverbanks in Lệ Thủy, Quảng Ninh districts and Đồng Hới City are expected to gradually recede. Within the next 2 days, the floodwaters should completely subside, restoring normal conditions in the affected areas. In the disaster-hit areas of Quảng Bình Province, people are struggling with floodwaters. Many houses remained submerged, and some families, especially elderly individuals living alone, face dire circumstances. In response, local communities have united, offering increased support to one another.
Nguyễn Thị Sở from Hòa Luật Nam village in Cam Thủy Commune, Lệ Thủy district, was evacuated early and found shelter at the village secretary's house. For several days, her kind neighbors provided practical assistance to help her through this difficult time.
My neighbors love me very much. They even invited me to stay with them. The neighborhood is very closely knit.
Hà Thị Lê is sick and lives alone. Thanks to the help of her neighbors, she's able to overcome the difficulties.
I'm old and weak, so I couldn't evacuate.
The soldiers told me to stay still and they would come to carry me.
Task forces are particularly attentive to poor households, coordinating with local authorities to move them to safe locations after the flood. They work effectively with the 4 on-site motto to ensure people's safety.
Natural disasters are unpredictable. Many people have had to leave their homes and belongings to find safe shelter. With the assistance of local authorities and task forces, those affected can hopefully recover from the flood soon.
Landslides along the sea embankments in Thịnh Lộc Commune, Lộc Hà District, Hà Tĩnh Province have significantly worsened. Local authorities and about 150 community members are urgently transporting sandbags to repair critical erosion sites near Indian Village. The damage, exacerbated by Typhoon Trami and high tides, has affected a 50 to 60 meter stretch. While these reinforcement efforts serve as a temporary measure, district authorities and relevant agencies are developing a long-term plan for comprehensive embankment repairs. Thanks to significant advancements in research and application, stem cells have opened new opportunities for treating various diseases in Vietnam. This was the statement made by a representative from the Ministry of Health at a seminar organized by MecoStem Stem Cell Bank. Globally, stem cell technology also contributes to drug research and immunotherapy for cancer treatment. The establishment and development of stem cell banks represent a strategic move that allows Vietnam to keep pace with advanced global technologies. Experts have also proposed several measures to promote more comprehensive development in stem cell research and application. They emphasize the need for policies that encourage financial collaboration between the public and private sectors to expedite the practical application of research findings. According to the law on environmental protection, all households and individuals in Vietnam must classify waste before disposal by December the 31st of this year. However, in many large cities, such as Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, classifying waste at the source remains challenging, particularly in central areas.
Household waste is often piled up here. Sometimes it's right next to shops or right in the middle of the street in the central districts of Hanoi. According to Xuyến, there's always a pile of garbage right in front of her shop. It not only pollutes the environment, but also affects her business.
People bring their own trash here and throw it right in front of my store, so I can only clean it myself.
Some people don't take theirs out at the right time and put it in the right place. They still throw their trash here.
Over the past 3 months, 5 districts in Hanoi have been chosen to pilot waste sorting at the source. There are currently no trash bins in front of homes to prevent garbage collection points. However, despite educational efforts and community mobilization, many people continue to litter.
We have coordinated with the people's committees at all levels and are currently in the pilot phase. This will depend on the awareness of the people and the self-classification of businesses.
For successful waste classification at the source, both the government and the environmental companies must adequately prepare waste treatment infrastructure. However, the awareness of each citizen also plays a crucial role.
At the end of each year, seasonal winds wash ashore waves of waste, mostly plastic, on the Gondao archipelago. To preserve the island's natural beauty, Trash to Art volunteers collaborate with locals and tourists to collect and upcycle this ocean waste into eco-friendly products. Let's take a look.
Every Sunday, we meet up to clean a beach and sort the trash we collect. Recyclable items like buoys, bottles, and ropes are set aside to take back, while non-recyclables go into bags for public waste collection. Surprisingly, much of this waste can be reused. Take this buoy, for example. I'm repainting it for decoration. Or these small bits of netting. We've gathered enough to make a net bag. And here's a rope. Cute, right? Perfect for decor.
In 2023, the Condao National Tourism Area Management with Phie turned a vacant 2,000-meter square lot near the Border Guard and Bindum Bay into the Revival Zone, an ocean plastic recycling education and check-in spot decorated with salvaged items like buoys, bottles, and driftwood.
The activities in Tyson Zone are exactly what we want, not only reuse material, but also always try to upcycle it by changing it in a way that it can be improved and it can be even better than the original product.
The skilled volunteers weave net bags or paint decorations. Foreign visitors love it too, and often buy items to support our group.
I make these products from trash I collect from the beach, like plastic bottles. I do this for fun and to help protect the earth.
We only came here as tourists, but we fell in love with the island, and there was a responsibility we felt inside our heart that with such a beautiful paradise island, you cannot let it get trashed.
Coming up next in our world news, EU imposes higher tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. And later on, China launches Shenzhou 19's spaceship. Now moving on to our world news, the European Union on Tuesday agreed to impose additional tariffs on electric cars imported from China after talks with Beijing failed. The new tariffs will be 35.3%, up 10% from the current rate. The decision will become law after being published in the EU's official journal on Wednesday and will take effect on Thursday. China's Ministry of Commerce said that it does not accept the EU's new tariffs on Chinese-made electric cars and has filed a complaint with the World Trade Organization. China stressed that it will take measures to protect the interests of Chinese businesses and called on the EU to engage in dialogue to find a solution. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced on Tuesday that the country has conducted strategic nuclear deterrence exercises, including test launches of ballistic missiles and cruise missiles carrying nuclear warheads. President Putin affirmed that nuclear forces are a reliable guarantee of Russia's sovereignty and security. Russia will continue to improve its nuclear deterrence forces, helping the country carry out the task of strategic restraint and maintain the balance of nuclear power in the world. He also declared that Russia will not enter a new arms race, but will maintain its nuclear power at a sufficient level. The strategic missile force will be modernized with higher accuracy, shorter launch times, and better missile defense capabilities. China launched the Shenzhou 19 spacecraft on Wednesday morning, carrying 3 astronauts to the Tiangong space station. The launch was carried out by a Long March 2F rocket from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in Gansu Province, northwest of China. About 10 minutes after launch, the Shenzhou 19 spacecraft separated from the rocket and entered the designated orbit, beginning its journey to the Tiangong space station. All 3 astronauts on board are in good health. During this mission, the Shenzhou 19 crew will conduct basic space scientific research and technical tests, conduct extravehicular activities, and install equipment to protect the Tiangong space station from space debris.
On the left of the screen is the rendezvous and docking mode, just like the
A recent report on the health impacts of climate change reveals that people worldwide are facing more days with health-threatening temperatures. Additionally, extreme weather events, tree cover loss, and air pollution from the burning of coal, oil, and gas are increasingly jeopardizing health outcomes.
As COP29 approaches in Baku, Azerbaijan, health is poised to play a significant role in climate discussions. At a recent webinar hosted by the World Health Organization and COP29 presidency, speakers highlighted the critical link between climate change and health. This year's conference aims to integrate health concerns into negotiation streams and raise awareness about climate change's impact on public health.
The climate crisis is a health crisis. It's well overdue. That's 27 COPs have been and gone without a serious discussion of health.
The Lancet Countdown report, published annually before the UN climate negotiations, will be released ahead of COP29. This year's conference will showcase a health pavilion jointly hosted by the WHO and Wellcome Trust. The pavilion will feature a 2-week program of events, including a dedicated health day on November 18th.
Over the past 8 years of monitoring, we've seen the situation getting increasingly dangerous for health because of the changing climate. And what this indicator is showing us is that climate change is today posing record threats to people's health and well-being all around the world. Out of the 15 indicators on which we monitor the changing threats of climate change to health, 10 have reached a record level of danger in the last year of data.
Last year's COP28 in Dubai saw the UAE Declaration on Climate and Health, which was endorsed by over 150 countries.
Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast for Vietnam and other locations in the world. And that is all that we have this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website, our YouTube channel, or download a mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.